Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to go over everything we know about spaceships in Starfield. But when this video goes live, we will have 1 month until Starfield Early Access, which is Starfield with the pre-order of 5 days early access. Which I kind of like that because it will be releasing on Friday, September 1st, and not like most other games that release on a Tuesday. So that way we have a good long weekend to get in playing the game right out the gate. Now, I originally wanted to do this video a couple weeks back, but we kept finding little things about Starfield here and there and there and there. And I think now it seems like it's all settled out. We've figured out all the things we need to know about kind of just Starfield in general from what they've shown off at Starfield Direct, but especially just on the spaceship side. So let's run through it. So let's start by looking at building and customizing your spaceship. Now, first off, spaceships are not going to be fully customizable. The interior, we know a lot of it's not going to be customizable. It's going to have pre-designed plans for how they're going to look and operate that you will decide really kind of what you want to have inside your spaceship by building out and picking the correct components for what you want your spaceship to do. So a lot of that will be done in the spaceship builder view, where you pick your different components for your spaceship. Now, another thing real quick about customizing ships and building ships is Todd Howard did say that spaceship building is really kind of meant to be more of the end game, kind of later in the game type of mechanic. So don't expect to get right into Starfield and go right into building spaceships. Expect this to kind of be a little bit further later on in the game. But he said really the beginning parts of spaceship customization is really kind of more of the upgrading of your spaceship and spaceship components and stuff like that. So as far as all those different components that you're going to be able to customize and build for your spaceships, here's a pretty cool pop out that they did breaking out all the different components that they have on your base spaceship, the Frontier. And we can see that there's going to be cowling, shield generator, docker, fuel tank, grav drive, engines, hab, weapons, cockpit, cargo hold, reactor, landing gear, and your bay. Another thing you'll notice about weapons though is there's actually 4 different weapons there, and we have actually seen gameplay footage of them using rockets, ballistic weapons, and lasers, but we have not seen them use what is going to be the 4th one, particle beam weapons or EM type weapons, electromagnetic type weapons. So as far as all the components together that make a ship, we do not know what the minimum requirements will be to be able to make a ship, but I would imagine some components don't actually have to be on your ship. Take for example a docker. I would imagine you don't really need a docker to go from planet to planet, but if you don't have a docker, you would not be able to dock with other ships in space. Now, if you're wondering how large or the size of a ship you can make, what's your limitations, we have heard a Starfield dev mention that there's about roughly 100 meters in either direction that you will have to be able to build out your ship. Now, that's all great and all, but what does that mean for when we are building out and actually in the view to build out our spaceship? Well, there is roughly 20 dots going out from the center line to the exterior in either direction. But we don't have a clear view for how tall we can make things, but we have seen obviously the images from the Starfield Direct where they showed off a really tall mech. So there is plenty of room to go higher as well. So I think we'll have plenty of room to make our spaceships fairly large. Now, there will be certain conditions that you will need to meet in order for your spaceship to be a working spaceship and you can kind of finish out the building feature. But it doesn't seem like you're going to have to worry as much into thrusters or lift as taking off from planetary surfaces and going to space, or even space down to planetary surfaces. That is going to be a cutscene and a basic and standard animation. There will also be no planetary flight of any kind. So even if you do land on a planet, you will just be parked there. You will not be able to hover and lift and drive off or anything like that. But for the last couple of things about customizing your ship, there will be many different manufacturers of ship components with their own look and feel, and you will be able to give your ship a custom paint job as well. Now, as far as combat goes with your spaceship, that is going to be one thing that you're going to be able to do. And depending upon what kind of combat you're looking to do, is going to depend very much on the kind of weapons you want to put on your spaceship. Now for certain types of combat, whether you're destroying spaceships, you're going to want to go with weapons that are good at damaging and destroying spaceships. If you are looking to disable spaceships, you're going to want to go with weapons that are good at taking out specific components to disable their spaceship. And you might be asking, why do I want to disable their spaceship? Well, because you will be able to dock with their ship and even take it over if they are hostile. But it does seem like you can dock with quite a bit of ships in the game, not just hostile ones. You'll be able to dock at space stations, larger capital ships, stranded derelict ships, and yes, those hostile ships as well. And if you do disable a hostile ship and board it, you can actually take it over and add it to your fleet. Now, I did make a video a few weeks back explaining how to dock with spaceships, so if you want a little bit more of an in-depth breakdown, you can go check out that, but I'll give you a quick little rundown for how such a system might work. First off, you'll want to make sure your spaceship has a docker, and for weapons, you want to make sure you have lasers and particle beam weapons or EM type weapons. When you get into combat, you want to use your lasers to take down their shields, and then you want to use your particle beam weapons to disable their engines. That's going to be the most important part, as the sooner you can disable their engines before you destroy the ship, you can dock it and potentially take it over. And then once you get on board, you just have to kill the remaining crew, and then you can fly away with it. But that's pretty much a quick rundown. But if you do want more of the in-depth or all the proof of what I kind of showed off in that video, you can definitely go check it out. It'll be down in the comments. Now, I'd imagine this feature is going to be pretty important, as I can see some quests or maybe even some storylines telling you to say, hey, a VIP was captured, you need to go get them back, and you have to go on to somebody else's ship or the ship where they are on and take them back. So I could see that being part of the gameplay experience in Starfield. Now, some other things you're going to be able to do in Starfield with your spaceships is transport cargo. And we've seen some examples that there are some rather large spaceships that they actually did show off with quite a bit of cargo space on board. And they even show off here a little man standing on this spaceship, so you can see just how large some of these ships really are going to be. Another thing that we have seen some very strong hints about that we will be able to do with our ships in Starfield is actually smuggling operations. And you could probably consider this transporting cargo, but this is going to come with some finer details, as you are trying to get illegal materials into a place where they are illegal. And one of the things that easily comes to mind is taking Aurora, which is only legal on the city of Neon in Starfield, and actually trying to get it into some other major cities like New Atlantis. Now, another thing we will be able to do with our spaceships is transport passengers. Now, we haven't seen this actually shown off in gameplay, but we do have some evidence of passenger slots for components. Bethesda even showed off in Starfield Direct meeting some wealthy elite aboard a party boat, and there's also this quick image of what is a ship called the Party Cruise, which very much looks like just a modified Frontier. You will also be able to bring along companions and crew members along on your ships, and any skills that they have will provide benefits to your ship. As far as how crew management will go, there seems to be some kind of a balance between skills, components, and crew capacity, and also crew stations, which are found in the HAB modules. I did make a video trying to break this down, but there just doesn't seem to be enough information to really kind of narrow it down. Now, some things that we haven't really seen any evidence of, but they could come down the line in an expansion, is space mining and spacewalks. Now, if you're looking to use your ship and go mine asteroids or comets, well, I wouldn't get your hopes up, because we really haven't seen much evidence of that. And I kind of would have thought if we would have seen any evidence that you could do that, we would have seen at least another weapon in that blown out ship view. So we just haven't seen any evidence to kind of suggest that there will be any form of space mining in Starfield. And if you're also open to do some spacewalking, well, we also haven't seen really any evidence of that either. Not to say that it's not in the game, as there's probably a lot of things that we just don't know that are in the game And probably the only area of spaceships that I'm not super impressed with is really just the spaceship flying. So let me know what you thought. Did I miss anything? And we just got 1 month to go. Alrighty, take care.